So you may have guessed what our topic title is today. It's called Jumping Rope, and hopefully everyone who's in the room got a rope. I say that because it's recorded and online, and you might like to buy a rope if you are online, but everyone here should have gotten one. If not, just raise your hand and Sarah will bring you one. And before you go jumping up and running out the door, you do not have to jump rope. That's not what it's about, although it could be. That could be a part of it. But you're not going to be asked to jump rope, and you're not even going to get a demonstration of jumping rope. In fact, this morning David said to me, "Please, honey, do not even try to jump rope in that dress." And I said, that wasn't even in my plan, but why would he think such a thing, right? So, what is the talk about? Well, we're going to intermingle some ideas about jumping a rope, but it's basically about perfect health. The reason being that the last few weeks I've noticed that one of the top things that we're talking about after service, myself included, has to do with health and the many, many choices that we make with regard to health. I'm not even going to begin to try to talk about all the modalities or methods, but I'm sure that each of you is coming up with your list, that your go-tos, or some that maybe you're wondering if you're going to try. Whether it's natural healing or medicinal or spiritual and mental, there are just so many avenues to take in this realm of achieving perfect health. Now the truth is that we don't really have to achieve anything except in our human experience. We already are perfect health because that is our nature, because it is God's nature. And so whether you choose to jump rope with your rope, your colorful rope, or whether you choose to hang it somewhere around your house and just allow it to be a reminder to you for someone or a variety of the ideas that we share here today. Either one is good as long as it is activating an engagement in the thought and activity that keeps you in or brings you into realizing your perfect health. Ernest Holmes wrote, "There's nothing to heal, only healing to reveal."
Well, I always think of jumping rope as a youthful thing. And I grew up on a farm with my three brothers, and so we never really jumped rope, and I never really experienced it until I went to kindergarten and saw other people doing that on the playground. And it was something that I never really wanted to risk doing because they looked so fancy the way they were doing it. And but anyway, I never really grew up with jumping rope, but it's always something I think of as a childhood activity. And I was thinking about this week when I was looking at our talk, and I thought, do you ever ask a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they come back to you say, fat and old. I remember yesterday we were on a long drive and we got out of the car to walk into the building, and Deborah's ahead of me. I said, "Deborah, slow down. I'm old and fat." She said, David's a good practitioner she is. "David, don't hold that truth for yourself. You're not old yet."
That is not You're telling tales out of school.
Out of school, yes. So I think that imagination is a really important key in terms of understanding this whole idea, in terms of the mental choices Deborah was kind of talking about, in terms of creating a new idea of what it is to be healthy and to be young and to be vital. And you create only what you believe. And you believe only what you can imagine to be true. So the key is to stretch your beliefs by stretching your imagination. So you can imagine all the vast realm of infinite possibilities and choose which ones you desire. Stretching the imagination requires freedom of thought. You ever thought about that? Freedom of thought. You can't be creative if you're stagnant in your thinking processes. You can't enter into imagination without a sense of freedom. To achieve one, you must develop the other. Freedom and imagination. Albert Einstein was a fairly creative thinker. In fact, I think all these years later we're still trying to figure out exactly what he was thinking when he thought those things he thought. I wrote them down. He says, imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evolution. Imagination is limitless. What are we capable of being, and what are we capable of doing in this thing called life? Einstein also said, I am enough of the artist to draw freely from my imagination. It seems that Einstein saw imagination as a place to play, a place for questioning minds, and he wanted to encourage that in a society that focused on knowledge. Being a scientist, he believed imagination was the most valuable thing. If we want to find the cure for anything, imagination is really valuable. John Lennon says, imagine all the people living for today. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. So, imagination is also key to creating a healthy world.
I love that idea of stretching our imagination. That's nice. So I want to talk for a little bit about health in the realm of emotional and mental health and our well-being within that. So we know that in Science of Mind we are big on teaching personal responsibility for whatever it is that we're dealing with. And we are yet, in our humanness, emotional beings. And we have a lot of mental healing that we can do along the way that will assist us in realizing that we are perfect health. There's a story that I'm going to share with you, that a true story from a woman named Stephanie about her own life, and she titled it The Jumping Rope. So she tells the story that she is never exactly sure how she's going to explain this part of her life and help people to understand who she is and how she came to be who she is today. And she said sometimes it's just easier not to talk about it and to just be by myself, bless you. She has titled it, however, the TCK, and she says it's the third culture kid. She's the third culture kid. And what she means by that is that her parents did not grow up in the country that she did not grow up, in the country that her parents are from. So her parents are from the United States with that culture, but in her early childhood years, she grew up in Guatemala. And she says that she never felt like she fit in. Now, I don't know about you, but I think most of us can relate to that, right? And I noticed that in life, going around and talking with people, I have yet to meet anyone who has said, I fit in everywhere I go, and I just fall right in, and I'm everything I am, everybody just loves. I've yet to meet anybody that's come up to me and said that. So I think we can relate to how she is feeling as a young child, as a misfit, as she says. So she says that her first major life transformation took place when she was about 7 years old in Guatemala, because her parents did mission work and they had to leave their home and moved to the United States for a short period of time before they got their assignment to a new country where she was going to be moving. And she said that during this time she felt heartbroken. She felt afraid. She had to say goodbye to so much and so many. And they told her that she was allowed to pack whatever she wanted from her belongings into one small backpack. And so she went through her room and decided what she was going to bring, and she had her list of toys she was bringing, but she said the one most important thing that she just knew she had to bring was her jump rope. And she said that that jump rope was cherished for her, and she sometimes called it a skipping rope. She said that when she was in the first grade, she actually won a jump rope contest, and that she just knew that she couldn't leave there without that. So probably most of us have something in our lives also that is cherished, that we use as that jump rope. So when they got to the airport, she got into the line, and she was already pretty upset, but as she went through security, the agent took everything out of her backpack and was looking at it, and then started putting things back in, and took the jump rope and said she cannot take this on the plane to the parents. And she immediately started crying. She had to be able to take it. And so they asked, well, why can't she take the jump rope on the plane? And the agent said, well, it could be used as a weapon. So her parents began trying to explain to her how it could be used as a weapon, and that the lady was afraid that it might be used as a weapon. Well, at 7 years old, she was thinking to herself, why would anyone think I would use it as a weapon? I would never hurt anybody. Why are they even thinking this? But as a kid, it just hurt her and upset her. When from behind her, the next man in line just happened to be an off-duty police officer, who said to the agent that was checking them in and not allowing her to have the rope, well, I am allowed to carry weapons on the plane, and so I'll take her jump rope. They found out where he was going. The agent said, okay, he took the jump rope, put it in his suitcase, got their address, and said he'd mail it to them because they weren't going to the same place or on the same plane. And so she was going to get her jump rope, and indeed she did. Several weeks later, it was mailed to her. So here is the thing in the story that I want us to get. As an adult, looking back on situations from our life or from her life as an example, there are times when our whole world feels like it's falling apart. And it's not. And it can, in hindsight, even be as small as losing your favorite jump rope. But it's not. And hindsight is helpful. What we know to be true is that God is big enough to orchestrate the most wonderful outcome. And it was the outcome that Stephanie desired. The love of God came through the officer as compassion and caring for Stephanie at a time when she most needed it. And that same thing happens to us, sometimes through someone else, sometimes through an idea, sometimes through the receipt of a jump rope in the mail, maybe from a jump rope hanging somewhere in your house that reminds you of the colorful truth of life. There are going to continue to be times that we're sad or overwhelmed, and we must remember that God is present in every moment, and God is good. And we can and will overcome our grief and our sorrow. We can know that there are many officers of God all around us. And in fact, within us, we are probably often the one to give that compassion and that loving kindness to another when they are in need. So if God can handle getting a kid's jump rope across borders, then you can know that the power of God is in all the details of your life, even the small ones.
I think one of the other aspects that we tend to lose as we grow I wouldn't say older, but I'll say as we grow.
Wiser?
Wiser, thank you, is enthusiasm. And I think Ernest Holmes is very enthusiastic. I think if you read his work very much, you realize that he never really grew up. He always had this childlike curiosity about life, and the things that he writes are quite often very simplistic in a way, although they're very detailed, but they're quite often very simplistic, and I think he just never really grew up. And he talks a lot about living in excited, joyous expectancy. Living in joyous, excited expectancy. No, there are no limits to what you can accomplish and manifest in your life. Success strategies often talk about goals and benchmarks and achieving them and how to achieve them. And I think that one of the best ways to do that is to approach them with an attitude of excitement about the outcome, looking forward to the end product with excitement and joy, rather than the drudgery of having to climb up that mountain. Seeing something ahead and joyously watching it unfold or manifest in front of us. That's true of a health as much as any other condition or circumstance. That's when we talk about pray believing that you already have it. Believing you already have it lends a tremendous sense of confidence, a level of expectancy that is much more powerful than simple hope. I hope I get there, rather than I expect to reach that goal. Joyous expectancy, I cannot wait until I get to that point. When I'm working on the treadmill, I cannot wait. I did a web search on excited expectancy, and I came up with a lot of topics, such as managing expectations so they don't manage you. Ways to avoid having unrealistic expectations. And my favorite was, avoid excited expectation to avoid disappointment. Now that, gee, those are really not science of mind topics, are they?
No.
No, they're really going in the opposite direction. Avoid good possibilities because you may not ever actually get there. No, no, thank you. And I thought, well, how do we define unrealistic expectations? Fear based on limitation is not real. Fear is false evidence appearing real, as an acronym. So if we look at life fearfully, yes, we want to avoid all anticipation because we know we're never really going to reach that. But I thought, if you ask a multi-billionaire what is an unrealistic goal, you might get a quite unique perspective, something that we probably hadn't thought of on our own before, because they seem to have a more optimistic look at life. And so there aren't really any unreal possibilities. If you never dare to look around the corner and see what's coming, you'll never know what's coming. And you'll always be at choice to assume it's the same old thing. Or you can dare to dream. And if you never dream, your dreams will never come true. So, set a groundwork in which mediocrity has no place to root. Mediocrity is always pushed aside by new and exciting possibilities.
Well, we're going to talk now about some new possibilities, but some possibilities that we're all very familiar with. I almost always go to our we believe statements as I'm designing what I want to say that on a Sunday in a message. And I usually, or quite often, take one and then talk about it, whether I actually share it or not. When I was looking at this idea of health and physical health in this way, which we know we can't really isolate it to just physical health, but I'm going to be mostly talking about the physical health aspect of it. our we believe statements, like I said, I usually try to come up with one, but when I went through them, there were 6 of them that I thought, oh my gosh, I have to do that one. Oh, well, this one's pertinent too. So they are all interwoven ideas for life. But let's go through some of them specifically. We believe the manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. Everything that we see and experience in the physical life is of God. It is ever evolving, it is shifting, a shifting form of God, and it includes each one of us. Each of us is responsible for the care of our own body, which is that logical outcome of God. We have been provided an abundance of choices, or, I said that wrong, an abundance of choices to make regarding our self-care, and may I say jumping rope, or placing your jump rope in a location as a reminder of your responsibility for your personal physical self. Could be a valuable choice, whether you're choosing to use it to remind yourself of something or whether you're choosing to actually jump rope. I know I have heard stories of people, even adults, not just kids, who have used jump ropes to improve their health and their lifestyle. We believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete freedom from all discord of every nature, and that the goal is sure to be attained by all. What this means for me is that we don't have to be in pain. It is our nature, because it's God's nature, to be free of discord. Again, jump rope or use it to reinforce appropriate to you choices. We believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. Prayer, meditation, as Ophelia shared this morning, just sit in a silence and allow God to reveal itself through you for your personal choice. No one has to agree with you or validate you. You can do that. There are so many ways to manifest good health, and we have those choices to make. And whatever we do, we can begin in this moment and move in the direction of guidance toward our highest good. We believe the universal spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind, which receives the direct impress of our thought and acts upon it. So as we each individually arrive at the choice or the decision, that choice becomes the idea that is called the direct impress of our thought. The law of God makes that thought a reality. What we believe about ourselves physically matters. And again, we have so many options, so many modalities and methods. We believe in the healing of the sick through the power of this mind. That's a powerful statement to take on, and one we probably should read every day. When a part of our physical body shows you a sign, which we label as symptoms, look at your jump rope and remember what you were thinking about your personal way to realize your perfect health, and use the power of your own mind to heal thyself. And finally, we believe in the control of conditions through the power of this mind. God is unlimited. Every option, every possibility is fully available. We control the conditions of our life by our willingness to jump rope, or to love your body into its best health by utilizing all the power that is always available to us. Enjoy the journey of jumping rope.